The Saturday afternoon shootout is on the air. Warning, although the information expressed on the show has been researched by our staff, it may not be correct. All opinions made by the hosts or their guests are theirs alone and should not be considered legal advice. Be sure to consult an attorney before attempting anything you hear on the show. Just because we say it on the internet doesn't mean it will stand up in court. Now, here are your hosts.
Getting no image. Hey, welcome everybody to another episode of Saturday Afternoon Shootout. I'm here with Nate, and we have a guest.
Steve.
Do we want to mention your name?
Sure.
You want to be Steve? We're right here on Flint Talk Radio in the heart of Vehicle City, right?
Yes.
Flint, Michigan. It's a little snowy today.
A little bit.
Looking like December 8th, 2012. A little chilly out there. Starting to look a little like Christmas.
Yeah, I had to clean my my windshield off this morning.
Did you?
When I left.
Yeah.
I say morning.
Well, you woke up in the car, so
yeah.
I figured.
That was last weekend, actually.
Oh, was it? Yeah. Wow. It was a little warmer then, too.
Yeah, it was. That was nice.
So we had a nice drive over here from where we're at. Steve, not so far, but still a little trek out there. I think today was going to be a good show. We won't waste a lot of time just pitter-pattering back and forth. We're going to talk about
That's usually how we fill our shows up, though.
I know, generally it's just yes. We've got important stuff today. We're going to talk about Senate Bill 59 that passed the Michigan Senate. It's in the committee of the House. They're playing games with it a little bit. Governor's involved on that. And this is the bill that would allow people to carry concealed only, because they criminalized open carry unless you have written permission. We'll get into that. But you'll be able to carry in gun-free zones if you have an additional 8 hours of training and you meet the criteria of that training proposed by the statute. Some other changes which we'll go over about eliminating the gun board and making the sheriff accountable. There's some bookkeeping things in there, and I'd like to go through each and every one of them. After we do that, we can discuss it, and then we may or may not, depending on how busy, because he's at a seminar. We're expecting a call around 1:30 or so from the president of Michigan Open Carry, Philip Hoffmeister, to discuss the bill and Michigan Open Carry's support of it. All of the gun rights organizations in the state support it. The big contentious part of it is the open carry issue, which would no longer be allowed in gun-free zones unless you have written permission, like I mentioned. But it's Senate Bill 59, and what it'll do, will it eliminate the gun board to the sheriff alone. He'll have the authority to issue the permits. It shall issue, but what it does is it puts the onus on the sheriff for denial. If he denies you unjustly or unlawfully, then you can go to court, and they've written that into the statute. You will have recourse, and if the court decides that the sheriff is wrong, you can get your attorney fees back, plus they can be fined up, I think, to up to $500. Anyway, and there's a lot of nice things about the bill. The bad thing is the open carry issue, but I'll just go through point by point.
Just want to mention real quick, you mentioned Phil might call in partway through the show. Anyone else listening, you want to call in, the phone number should be scrolling across on Ustream, but it's 810-208-2854.
And let's say
1854.
1854, sorry. 810-208-1854.
All right.
Let me change that.
We also want to mention that after we get through discussing the bill, if you want to call in, if you're the first caller to call in with a question or a comment, you'll get a $10 gift certificate card to Walmart. We've got an anonymous donor that donated some gift cards for us to encourage people to participate in the show. She wants to be anonymous, and I say she not because she's a hermaphrodite or anything like that, but I don't want to give away the identity because this person
Except you just said because she's not a hermaphrodite, so you kind of gave it away a little bit there.
Way to go.
Or did I? Maybe.
Well, I know whether you did or not.
Maybe it's a red herring. Anyways, a person who is a strong Second Amendment supporter was gracious to donate quite a bit of these cards. So we have different ones to different places. We're going to give a few out over the next few shows. But anyways, the first thing is that the legislator is going to compile firearm laws, like they have the firearm law booklet and on CD. They have to supply that to the state police. The state police then will have to issue an electronic format, which is going to be like a CD or a DVD or whatever, of all the firearm laws to all of the licensing authorities throughout the state, which are the counties. Talk about the rights, responsibilities, how to apply, all these kinds of things. So that's nice. A lot of gun boards are doing that already. Let's see. Okay, one thing they're changing is when they ask for 2 references, they cannot be a member of your family or a member of the same household that you live in. That was not specified before, so now you're going to have to get non-related or non-roommate type of references. Shouldn't be a big issue. Next thing is IA, properly complete refund authorization form, because now if they deny you or if there's a snafu or there's a delay, you can get a partial refund of your money and they'll issue you a temporary license, and we'll get into that in a minute. But so they have to sign this form that allows them to send you money back. It says the next change was neither the licensing, I'm going to just say the sheriff, that's just the authority, nor the clerk of the sheriff shall require the applicant to submit any additional forms. Now there's been some counties that are asking for more letters of recommendation, a note from your doctor, from your mommy, from your teacher. They're asking for all this crap. They can't do that. They can only ask what is required by the law, or, and I'll get that, or if it's necessary to address a specific disqualification. So if you had a misdemeanor in the past or something, they can ask for things like that. But they can't jerk you around anymore and make you supply a bunch of forms. You can supply additional information voluntarily, it says. They actually put that into the statute. Don't. Yeah, don't. The only thing they can ask again is what we said, if they think it's necessary about disqualifications only. Now, no other charge, fee, cost, or assessment, including any local charge, fee, cost, or assessment, shall be required of the applicant except as specifically authorized in the bill. In all cases, the sheriff shall contact the county, the prosecuting attorney, and the state police having jurisdiction within that area to determine or not if you're qualified or not. So in other words, they're going to have to, and it means shall, they have to contact their county prosecutor and the local state police to do a background check to make sure that you're, you're okay to receive the license. They have to do that, but they don't, they can't go out and ask the FBI, or they can't go out and ask the CIA and stuff. Let's see. All right. An individual, after submitting an application, that classifiable fingerprints be taken by the county sheriff or a local police agency. Now, I don't know if you could do that before, but I guess you could. If the local police agency has a fingerprinting capability, and that local, not the sheriff now, but the local police can charge up to $15 for fingerprints. The county sheriff or local police agency shall take the fingerprints within 5 days after the request. That's the other thing. They can't keep saying, no, we're too busy, we can't take your fingerprint. Once you request them to take it, they have to do it within 5 days. The county sheriff and local police agencies that maintain the fingerprinting capability shall provide reasonable access to the fingerprinting services during normal business hours, okay, as is necessary to comply with the requirements of this act. The failure of a county sheriff to maintain fingerprinting capabilities in compliance with this act during normal business hours will not affect the 45-day period from the time of the application, which is what they changed now. So there's a change in how much time they have. After 45 days from the time you make the application, not when the fingerprints come back, not all that crap, 45 days, they have to issue you a temporary license, or I think deny you. So let's see what it says here. Licensing authority may deny a license if the fingerprints are not classified by the federal or by the FBI, and a report cannot be obtained based on the individual's name, date of birth, and other identifying information. I think that's what it means, is that they can't just say, oh, we can't read your fingerprints, but we know who you are, we know what you are, and you have a clean record, but we're still not going to okay you. What it says, if they know who you are and you're a unique individual and they have a report or not on you, that you have a clean record, they can use that. They don't have to just count on fingerprints. Okay, so they have to issue or deny a license within 45 days from the date of the application. The authority shall include an exemption endorsement from the prohibitions against carrying a concealed pistol on the premises described in the section if the applicant requests the exemption endorsement on his or her application form, and that is eligible for the exemption. In other words, if you're new, you want to get a CPL, the regular CPL, and the special happy CPL, they have to put that on there right away, and that's part of the application. All right, if they deny you for whatever reason, either for the CPL in general or the exemption, the authority shall, within 7 business days, used to be 5, they changed it to 7 business days, do both of the following. If it's not granted or denied within 45 days after the applicant is submitted, the clerk of the authority shall, within 10 days, issue by mail a temporary license to carry a concealed pistol to the applicant, along with a refund of the portion of the application and licensing fee deposited in the concealed pistol licensing fund under subsection 5. We'll get to that. They have to create a special fund now. If there's insufficient funds, they have to take it out of the general fund for the county. So, all right, let's see. All right, state police has to prepare a form for a refund. That tells them to do that. We talked about that. All right, a temporary license, if it's issued under this act, is valid until the expiration of 180 days after the date the temporary license is issued, or until the authority issues or denies a license, whichever occurs first.
Do you have to carry with another licensed person during that time to get your training in?
Looks like we have a call on line 1 if we want to take that now, or
it's Jay calling for you, Brian.
All right, well, we can do it real quick. We haven't gotten through everything, but go ahead, Jay.
Oh, well, I didn't want to hold you guys up because I know how important you are, but my question is, rumor has it, and I know you're my Lansing contact, being so close to the Ohio border here, we never know what's going on. Is there truth to the rumor they actually closed the Capitol during an open and public meeting? And what are we going to do about that?
Well, that's a different issue. I don't know.
Well, no, wait, but it brings a major issue, because if they're violating just the fact of transparency in an open and public meeting, what are they going to do with these House bills that they're talking about? And, I'm saying I'm really concerned. I'm being very sincere when I say this, Brian. You know me as a serious person when it comes to gun rights.
Are you talking about when they just, was it yesterday, Thursday,
Yeah.
they closed it down?
During the right to work vote.
Supposedly because of unruly protesters.
Well, I also heard there was some kind of structural issues with how many people could be held within the rotunda on the balconies.
Yeah, and I know
Capitol.
like every big protest, a few people got arrested, like 8 people.
Yeah, well, I heard a lot of excuses, but I haven't seen anybody from the Michigan State Police or the Capitol Security Detail come out and say, gee, there was too many people there. I don't even see any video of anybody that was pepper sprayed. You're telling me with all those troopers there that nobody had a video camera? I've never seen them go out without a video camera.
I can't answer any of those questions, Jay. I wasn't there. I don't know.
I understand, but that's the reason I bring it up to you guys, so that, somebody that might be listening might want to ask that question as to how come they're trying to hide that stuff. On the most important topic, then, the other reason, Brian, is that I'm deeply concerned about how the NRA, the National Rifle Association, is going to politely tell them just add some additional time, and that'll make us safer people so that you can carry a firearm in pistol-free zones. But now you can't convince me, even you, Brian, the great orator, they're not going to charge us more money for our CPLs, and they'll never give that money back, and that's going to make it any better?
Well, let me clear one thing up. The NRA didn't have anything to do with this particular bill. They did have an influence on the registration repeal, but the special carry one, NRA was not involved at all.
Other than supporting it after the fact.
Well, they always do that.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen anything that did that. But
I did. I get the emails.
You do realize that as a certified NRA instructor and as a range safety officer, that the bulletins were already coming out to us that was going to be a big sell for us. We could make more money because we teach an additional 8 hours of CPL use outside the home.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which I think is a crock. But go ahead.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I agree with you 100%. It is a big crock. But that was part of the selling point for the bill, was to appease the people that were afraid that the lowly citizen isn't trained enough and that we need to have more training. And so that was put into the bill. Does it benefit the NRA and their instructors? It sure does. Yeah, they would, and they probably did that so that the instructors would support the bill, which I'm sure all of them do.
Well, they asked me for my support, and you know what my opinion was on that. I told them absolutely not.
Yeah.
Well,
you have morals and principles.
Money, and I thought it was a waste of the NRA instructors' time.
Yeah, it's another one of these big grand compromises that organizations like the NRA do constantly. Now Michigan Open Carry is getting in on it. I mean, that's really what it is, and it's money for the NRA instructors, definitely.
Yeah,
I'm disappointed. Anyway, I don't want to keep up time from somebody else that might want to call in and ask you important questions. I always like to ask the simple questions that I know that you'll have the answer for in an hour.
Well, if you hang on and listen to the show, Phil, the president of MOC, will be calling in about 5 minutes. So that's kind of what I wanted to get through the bill first.
I love to hear what he has to say, especially if it's on topic.
Probably be about 15 minutes.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong clock. Yeah, in about 10, 15 minutes.
That's great.
Yeah. Anyways,
you have a very blessed holiday season.
You're
a co-conspirator. I hope he gets away without having to do the same amount of time you're going to do when they find out where you're at.
Yep, I hope so. Thanks for calling.
Thank you.
Take care.
I've always liked Nate. Have a good one, guys.
All right,
that's one person. Thanks.
Bye bye.
Well, I like you.
That was Jan, a longtime gun rights supporter, that calling in expressing his opinion. All right, so where were we?
The 180-day.
Yeah, the license is good for 180 days. The temporary license issued, under subsection shall on its face say that it's a temporary license. Something about if you get denied or if you get the actual real CPL, you have to bring in or send them back the temporary license.
Jeez.
Yep. Let's see. An individual applies for and is granted the exemption. Shall not be required to pay any additional fee. So if it's your first time getting a CPL, that's included in the fee. If you've already got your CPL, you've taken your class, you're going to get the exemption, they can charge. They may, if they want, and I'm sure they all will.
Oh yeah.
They can charge up to $20 to receive the new license, which.
That's the exemption to carry in the pistol-free zones.
Concealed carry.
Concealed carry only in the pistol-free zones.
Unless you have written permission from the
I was kind of
owners.
hoping we'd be grandfathered in for already being licensed.
That would be nice.
That'd be a good compromise.
All right. Again, housekeeping stuff.
This does mandate that the licenses are plastic laminated paper or hard plastic now.
Yep.
Rather than
And they can't charge you for that.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, they can charge you if you want the laminated.
If you want the hard plastic driver's license, they can charge you for that.
If they offer the laminated
if
plastic.
If they have
only,
it available.
Yeah.
And
it's like $10 charge.
Yeah, most of them that have the hard plastic driver's license ones already issue it at no extra charge.
Yeah, and that's what I got.
So
be nice.
Fits in my wallet better than the other one did.
But my county charges you to have it laminated, and they can't do that.
You can use it to
anymore.
unlock doors too.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I can get into Brian's house anytime I want.
That's true. All right.
I mean, we can get into the.
Well, wait a minute. The big thing is now they also have language in there that exempts liability from the clerk or the sheriff's office of anything that you do as a CPL holder once you get your CPL. So there's not liable for criminal or civil damage, I'm sorry, as a result of the issuance of the license. All right. Yeah, we talked about the $10 charge if you want to go up to the high graded stuff. It's going to have name, photograph, same stuff, including the exemption if you qualify for it and want it. Licensing authority fails to provide an exemption. Okay. What else is going on here? If the court, okay, that's as if you're denied, you can go to, yeah, this is important, I guess. If you're denied, you can go to court now, and you can have witnesses, and they can be sworn in. You can't have a jury at the hearing. If the court determines that the denial or failure was wrong, they have to grant you the license, and you can get attorney fees, and I think there's a fine. And of course, that has to come out of their CPL fund or the county treasury.
That special fund?
Yeah, that special fund.
Like Social Security?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those always work out really well.
By law, they have to have it. They have to create the fund. They just can't just throw it in their general fund. They have to actually have an account and all that.
It's the same way with Social Security, though.
Yeah.
There's a fund.
All right. Training changes. All right, there are some changes for the regular CPL, not the special, extra special CPL.
Does it make it much easier for the instructors and the CPL applicant to take the training and get their CPL, or?
No.
Oh.
All right.
Makes sense.
There are some things about you don't have to go in front of the gun board now, and they'll mail you the license. So there is a lot of nice benefits to that. All right. One of the things they changed is there was a question. Some of the counties were saying that your certificate of training expires after a certain period, and if it was over a year, you had to take the course again, or they wouldn't issue it.
Yep.
Totally unlawfully. There's nothing in the statute about that at all. And to solve that problem, there now is an expiration.
There now
date.
is, yeah.
And it's 5 years.
So all right, you hold on to your certificate or whatever of training for 5 years, and that before you even go to apply for a license.
Right. This would be a first-time applier. Like my brother took the course 2 or 3 years ago, and he hasn't applied for a CPL yet. This law goes into effect. He has 5 years to.
I think they should do that with high school diplomas too. You don't use it after so many,
The other thing that was an issue was the civil liability portion and the law portion of the course now has to be taught by an attorney or a certified peace officer in this state. Now that was an NRA requirement, if I recall. They had another little exemption that I don't quite understand, but basically it had to be an attorney or a cop. If you got your training and they weren't one of those two things, your training probably isn't legal. So they actually put that in there now. And this goes into effect, I think, May 1st, 2013. The thing they changed now is the number of rounds went from 30 rounds you had to fire to 98 rounds. And
that's a good logical number.
Well, that
98,
That was explained that you could have 2 misfires in 100 rounds,
but not 3.
But not 3.
Okay.
You might not have any, but that was the reason I was told why it's 98.
I just want to point out quick too. We're throwing around the word bill here. This is not current law.
Right.
This is
proposed.
Sounds like it may be voted on next week. Who
Maybe.
knows?
Yeah, we don't know.
It wouldn't hurt my feelings if it wasn't. But this is not current law. We're going through the changes proposed in this bill. This is Senate Bill 59 again.
The other thing that changes now is the instructor. This is on your certificate now. The instructor's name and address and telephone number, if available, should be on it. The name and telephone number of the state agency or a state or national firearms training organization that has certified the individual as an instructor, and the instructor certification number, has to be on the certificate. The name of the course, if applicable, and the total number and hours of instruction, and the number of rounds fired. That's not a big deal. Okay, it tells you who
I
can
mean,
touch
it's
it.
quite a bit more administrative work for the instructors.
A little, but they would have once they have them on there, it would be, they'd print them off. You'd get the certificate and it would be printed on there.
You would hope, assuming that that's how all the instructors handle their certificates. I mean,
yeah, okay,
it's hard to say.
That's how they run their business, is their business, I guess. Okay, it has to be a state or national firearms training organization that verifies the instructor. The other thing is some counties were requiring the instructors to register with the state or with the county that they were in. And they don't have to do that anymore.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't take your certificate from some guy in Detroit if you lived up in the UP, let's say. I'm giving an example. I don't know if that's true, but because they want to, they're in business to make money. And remember,
Yep.
the county prosecutor teaches the courses, the sheriff and their deputies teach the course, and they're in bed with the local firearms instructors often. So they have this little cabal that works together. So they wouldn't
Yep.
take anybody else's. Now they have to. Okay. Isn't that fun how things work? Renewals. This is nice. Now the clerk has to notify you when your license is going to expire. I think within 30 days, 60 days. I don't remember. 3 months. Oh, not less than 3 months and not more than 6 months before the expiration. That's nice because some people I've heard say, "Oh man, I didn't even know my license expired."
Yeah, after 5 years,
You
if
go so
you haven't
long.
looked at the date.
So now they have to issue you a notice saying, "Hey, it's time to renew." That's nice. Okay. And you can talk during my silences if you want.
I tried last time and you cut me off, so I'm just going to let it go.
Thanks a lot.
Should have brought a pillow.
Talks about refunds again. They have to refund a section that comes out of the fund, blah, blah, blah. Okay, the Department of State Police for fair reform. Yeah, we already talked about that. Okay, here's the renewal. This is in the renewal. The applicant shall also certify that in the 1 hour or more of firing range time required in the new law that's proposed, the applicant fired at least 98 rounds. And the educational and firing range requirements of this section are met, and they have to certify that they did this under oath, which they had to do before, but now you're supposed to be familiar with any new laws and that you've went to the range and shot 98 rounds or more.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna have to buy a 22 or something, and
Yeah.
CPLs are getting more expensive.
those ain't cheap though either anymore. Everybody's going to 22.
Yeah. Everything's
And it
going
also
up in
says-
price.
Yeah, and again, as a money-making scheme for their little cabals, some counties were saying, you have to take a renewal class. You don't have to do that. It's specified in the law now. It's not required. So there's no more argument there.
It is good to see that they're promoting the sale of ammunition though. I mean, that's gonna go from 30 rounds to 98. Bet you the people that make ammunition are happy.
Yeah, and then 98
cool.
rounds again at your at
Special.
renewal time.
Phew.
So I think before it was just a set number of hours or something, right, at the range. You had to have
Yeah, you just had to
hours
go to range.
of reviewing laws and range time.
Right.
They must have had lobbyists in this bill.
That's probably
Probably.
well, there's a lot more stuff here. License, let's see.
Bill's online.
Okay, just a second here. Lots of stuff for the instructors. Okay, here's the thing that we'll get before we get Phil on just a second. It says, now, if you get the exemption and you carry in a pistol-free zone, you shall not intentionally display or openly carry a pistol on the premises listed in this subsection unless you own it, you get permission, you're a cop, you're providing security, blah, blah, blah. So you cannot open carry in those places like you can now.
Yeah, and figured
And that's
this would
pretty
happen.
much it, and then they have to create a fund. So.
I mean, we went through the rest of the bill in detail, and then we get to this part, and we just rush through it because
well,
of time.
no, but we're going to talk about it now with Phil.
Today, with the CPL,
Right.
you can openly carry in the pistol-free zones.
Right.
You don't have to ask permission ahead of time. Most of them are private property. They can ask you to leave. That won't change. With this bill, it requires that whether you have the exemption or not. Without the exemption,
Or
you
you
cannot
don't even
carry
have to have a
pistol-free
CPL.
zones.
You can get permission to carry
Today. Yeah, and that won't change either. Correct.
Right.
Correct. To carry openly or concealed.
No. If you don't have a CPL, if you get permission from the owner, you can open carry in those gun-free zones.
Correct.
Right.
Today.
Right now.
Yes. Yeah. Now I lost where I was.
Well, you were saying now, if the bill goes through,
Yeah,
they can't.
with or without the exemption, you cannot carry openly. With the bill, with the changes in the bill, you will not be able to carry openly in any pistol-free zones.
Unless you get written permission from the owner.
Correct, and that's the same as today, except you can openly carry without permission today.
Well,
without express permission.
Without express.
It's implied until they ask you to leave,
Correct,
as far as I'm
correct,
concerned.
correct.
And with the bill, you will only be able to concealed carry if you take this extra 8 hours of training.
Right.
And get the exemption, get the little X on your CPL.
You will
mark.
be able to carry concealed.
You'll be able to carry concealed.
Be special like the police.
And then
Yeah.
the other thing it does is it now, before today, you know, if you are asked to leave, it's not any kind of law is being broken unless you refuse to leave, and
Correct.
then you could be trespassed. What this does now is it puts on a civil infraction penalty if you are open carrying in those places and they want to prosecute you. Then you can have a civil infraction for the first time. Second time, it's a misdemeanor. Third time, it's a felony.
Yeah, if you're openly carrying with your CPL without permission.
Without permission. Or, you know, intentionally display. So what does that mean? We don't know. I mean, those are some of the things that are always going to be kind of gray. Some anti-gun people might, you know, arrest you, I suppose, or cite you for printing. Who knows?
Printing, or you
I think that
reach
would be
on the top shelf
a tough
and
road to
your
try
shirt
to do
pulls
that,
up.
but
Yeah.
anyway,
we-
that's not intentional. That's accidental. I mean, they have wording.
It's their word against yours, though.
Yeah,
I
and we
understand.
know
Must have
that
been
nobody's
video and all
ever
kinds of
prosecuted
stuff.
for anything that's questionable, right?
I agree.
So-
There's something there. So
well, let's take Phil online too. I can hear him there, so I think
Okay.
he's there. Phil, how you doing? Phil, you there?
The audio is kind of screwy. I'm not sure if I can hear you a little bit, but yeah, the audio is a little screwy. But I'm here, I think.
all right, we can hear you fine.
Yes.
Coming in
There we
loud and
go.
clear.
It just cleared up.
All right, good,
Cool.
good. That's our great our producer John. He waved a magic wand over the computer.
He did his magic. That's why we
I just
have
touched one button, actually. That's what I did. Just
You're taking the mystery out of it.
we keep him on the other side of the glass because the magic's just too much for us.
All right. So how you doing today, Phil? How's the seminar?
I'm just fine. Actually, I'm not at the seminar today. I'm at my wife's my in-laws' family Christmas party.
Oh, okay. Well, good. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
And anyways, so tell us about MOC's position on supporting the bill and what was the rationale for that?
Well, I guess first and foremost, and I think it's important to point out that Michigan Open Carry is not just an open carry organization. Michigan Open Carry, according to our bylaws and our mission statement, is a gun rights organization. We specialize in desensitizing the public to open carry, but we are a gun rights organization. It's a broader base. That being said, there was a leadership meeting of the people that are most active in volunteering in our organization. There was about 10 people there, and they unanimously voted to support the bill. And it wasn't an easy decision. There was a lot of discussion. It wasn't something we took lightly.
Well,
Obviously, we didn't ask for this provision to be put in there. And I haven't been listening to the show so far, but it was our understanding from the governor that it's either this provision is in the bill or nothing. And looking at the bill as a whole and what we get out of it, what gun owners get out of it, we decided, the board, the leadership team decided that it was worth supporting this bill for a few reasons. One, there's a political reason amongst other gun organizations, kind of the taking one for the team type mentality. The second reason is because open carry in a pistol-free zone, whether or not you can actually do it is a little bit tenuous, or a little bit of a question there. As you may know, Judge Aquilina, in her dicta in a decision,
Ingham County.
Ingham County, People v. Watkins, she said that the idea that you can open carry in a pistol-free zone is quote-unquote absurd. Even though that's a plain letter reading of the law, and I agree with the plain letter reading of the law, Judge Ockley doesn't, and I don't wear a black robe, so it doesn't really matter what I say or what anybody else says. But that being said, it went to the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals didn't really rule on this matter. They let Mr. Watkins off on the same technicality that Judge Ockley did, which was that he couldn't know if it was a sports arena or whatever.
All right. Well, here's the thing. Now, if you would have, what do you think would have happened if you had actively tried to work against and oppose the bill? I mean, that was some of the things
I don't think anything would have happened. I think
to Michigan Open Carry.
Opposing the bill would have been largely inconsequential, and we would have pissed off a lot of people in the gun community. I understand there's a lot of people in the open carry community that are pissed off as right now. There would be a lot more people pissed off as in the larger gun community if we didn't support the bill. And as far as being neutral on the bill, there was another bill we were neutral on. That's House Bill 5225 that does away with registration. And for being neutral on that bill, you can go to opencarry.org and see a long 10-page discussion about how horrible it is that Michigan Open Carry is not supporting this bill. So it was a really difficult decision, and I'm just glad I didn't have to make it.
So you felt that Michigan Open Carry had more to win by supporting the bill?
Well, the leadership team felt that the best move for Michigan Open Carry and gun owners at large was for us to support the bill.
Okay. Is Michigan Open Carry, is their goal to represent all gun owners, or their paying members that are supportive of open carry, or what is that demographic?
We're a gun rights organization, and we represent all people who want to carry a gun, take the responsibility to carry a firearm for self-defense. Okay.
So this is more of a philosophical question. Well, maybe it's not. If the goal now of Michigan Open Carry is to represent the same people that Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners, Michigan Gun Owners, the NRA, if the goal is to represent those people, don't you think spreading out the gun owner base is more detrimental than consolidating and having a bigger state, gun rights organization?
Well, Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners, with all due deference to our friends over there, they historically have not been fans of open carry. And they're coming around a little bit, but they're kind of more neutral on open carry right now. They don't talk about it in a negative manner like they used to. Right. But they don't really promote open carry. They don't focus education on open carry. That's really a niche for Michigan Open Carry.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I always thought. I mean, when we founded the organization, it was founded because there wasn't anybody out there supporting, the open carry of a firearm, at least as organized as Michigan Open Carry was hoped to be. And of course, the goal was to get open carry into the mainstream, and then to spread out into the broader gun rights. We went into business to really put ourselves out of business. Ideally, you wouldn't need gun rights organizations fighting, for Second Amendment rights.
Let me speak to.
I kind of disagree with that. Even if we had constitutional carry in Michigan, there'd still be a need for Michigan organizations like Michigan Open Carry and Michigan Coalition of Responsible Gun Owners. I forgot who it was. I'm sure Brian's got the person who said it, but the price of liberty is eternal vigilance.
Yeah, I think you missed where I said ideally. Nothing is ideal.
Well, here, let me speak, because I basically, and Nate helped too, write the bylaws for Michigan Open Carry, and we anticipated a day when open carry was going to be somewhat accepted and was going to be a little bit more mainstream, and that we were eventually not going to have to fight so hard for open carry issues. And that's why we wrote in there that we would also, when that day came, we would also go and support gun rights in general. So I don't know that it's so far-fetched and outside of their goals to do that. Nate asked a good question. Why have Michigan Open Carry if we're not going to support open carry? We do support open carry. We always will support open carry. But we can also fight for other gun rights. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And Michigan Open Carry has done a lot in the last 4 or 5 years for gun rights, not just open carry. I mean, my God, look at the cattle case. That's defining what an authority is. That helps all gun owners, not just open carry.
The point is, when it comes to a bill that you have the choice of maybe not throwing your full weight behind it, a bill that does the opposite of support open carry. In fact, it restricts the freedom that open carriers have. An organization called Michigan Open Carry that was set up to support the open carry of a firearm, right? And I know
Correct.
it handgun, firearm, whatever, we can get into that. You don't support a bill that is contrary to that mission. And it's not just that, it's a bill that maybe will get rid of registration that will help all gun owners. So let's just ignore that one. It's a bill that says if this is passed, open carry is not as, allowed as it was before this bill is passed. And that just doesn't make a bit of sense in my head.
Well, let me point out one other thing too, that this bill, it was its destiny wasn't very much affected by Michigan Open Carry, except in one provision, and that is, I work closely with the legislature, and there was one provision I heard Brian talk about earlier where you can get written permission, and I found out about this horrible provision 2 days before it became general public knowledge, and I was pissed about it when I first found out about it, and I'm still not happy about it. And like I said, I'm glad I didn't have to make the decision. But that provision for private property owners wasn't originally in the bill. And through my legislative contacts, I said, hey, don't you think there should be a provision in there that private property owners have the final say of what's going on? And so we really worked to get that provision added.
Which provision was that? I'm sorry, I missed it.
The private property provision that the people who control the property can give you written permission to open carry there. That provision was not originally there. Neither was the provision for security guards or anything like that. Michigan Open Carry brought those up, and we got those provisions added.
Okay, so did you have something to say, Steve?
They were going to outlaw open carry altogether without any permission granted. And he's saying that Michigan Open Carry at least got that in there. Which is better than what it was before.
Now that the argument was made by a member of our leadership, now that Snyder is aware of this open carry loophole, it's certainly possible that next session, the Democrats and a small minority of Republicans could have ganged up to close this loophole altogether.
And they still could. This doesn't change that. It's just as easy to change a law as it was before if this bill is passed.
Right, but at least now you're going to be able to carry concealed in these guns.
Until they change the law. I mean, that's not a strong argument at all.
All right.
I just think this sets precedence that the state can regulate open carry. That's one of my main concerns about having a bill pass that has the ability to allow the state to say, you can't open carry there.
Well, they always could do that.
Well, and the private property owners could always do that. I mean, as it is right now, I can do everything I want right now and don't support the bill, or I support the bill
you can't
in
carry
hopes that
concealed in a pistol-free zone.
I don't conceal
well,
carry
that's
very
fine,
often
but there's a lot of people that do.
Right.
So you're looking at it from a selfish point, too.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Who's the third person in the room?
I'm sorry, Phil, this is Steve. You know me as Cross Pistols.
Yeah, okay.
But what I was getting at is right now, yes, concealed carry is not allowed. So right now, a very select few of us get to open carry in a PFZ where it's not allowed to carry concealed, even if you have the permit. But I would rather the bill fail and then we fight to keep open carry legal. Whereas if we pass this bill, now there is writing that says OC can be regulated in certain circumstances, and I just think it would be harder to remove that than it would be to just let the bill fail and fight anybody who wants to stop OC.
But the next fight, see, is to eliminate gun-free zones altogether.
Well, that's a good fight.
And go to constitutional carry, which would allow you to open carry or concealed carry regardless of a license. Right. So I mean, those are the steps, and that's the future, and it's down the road. We're throwing the baby out with the bathwater if we abandon this bill because there's a lot of good things in there.
So you're saying cut the baby in half.
Something I wanted to say too is it's been expressed to me by members of the legislature that they would really love to see more gun owners in Michigan, or more gun ownership groups in Michigan be able to get behind gun legislation and be able to speak with one voice. It's very frustrating to them that there's been several different factions, and that makes it very hard to get legislation passed. It's like no matter how hard they try, and at the end, it's been brought up to me a few times that legislation is like making sausages. And having watched the process a couple times now, I can say that's true. But it's very frustrating to the pro-gun, even the people that are pro-gun in the legislature, that it seems that gun owners are never happy, no matter how hard they try.
I don't know. Right. I just don't see more gun legislation.
And I think your analogy of cutting the baby in half is a little extreme.
No, I think that's exactly it. It's compromise because we think in the future when we have more Democrats taking seats in the Senate.
Compromises.
But not the
what happens if next year there was a bill that says that we should we get rid of the gun-free zones. We put back the gun-free zones for concealed carry, and we let open carry in gun-free zones again. Would that be a bill that gun owners should support?
Why should we pass any more bills that say we can or cannot do anything with a firearm? We already have two bills that say we can.
I'm asking, what if the shoe is on the other foot? Is that a bill that gun owners should or shouldn't support?
You're talking to just open PFDs to everybody?
No, I'm saying that, let's say, Senate Bill 59 passes, that becomes a status quo.
Okay.
What happens if there was a bill to set things back to the previous status quo? Is that a bill that gun owners should support?
To repeal SB 59?
Pretty much, yes.
Yes. I think so. It shouldn't pass in the first place.
Gun owners should support that one, but that restricts concealed carry, but they shouldn't support one.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's be clear here. I'm talking specifically Michigan Open Carry's role in supporting this bill. I understand the greater good Karl Marx argument about passing this bill and it's good for more people than it's not. I understand where you're going with that. Michigan Open Carry was not created to make friends with the rest of the gun community. Michigan Open Carry was created because there weren't friends in the gun community. Its goal was to bring open carry out of the closet, support open carry, promote open carry.
And they've done that.
Support pro-open carry legislation.
Well, I don't know how you can support pro-open carry legislation when there was no legislation.
You don't support anti-open carry legislation.
Prior to my administration, there was no involvement in gun legislation. Michigan Open Carry sat around on their bump.
Yeah.
When it came to gun legislation.
Well, I don't know if that's exactly true.
Well, the first administration probably had some involvement also, but previous administrations just sat around when it came to legislation.
All I know is I feel like I'm being pressured to do something because for the concealed carry group, like, well, if you don't go along with this, then many more people won't be able to conceal carry. I think that the CPL is
I fully support someone's right to disagree with
it
the
didn't come across
organization's
that way.
official stance. I take no. I have no personal feeling. If someone wants to go out there and say, you know what, we don't support this. If somebody wants to organize the group and say we don't support this bill, and get a little email list going and organize against the bill, I would have a lot of respect for those people. But what I see right now is people sitting around on the internet and complaining.
Well,
I would really have a lot of respect if people organized against it.
I just want to make a little point, Phil, that the posts I've seen from you, they don't come across as completely supporting people who oppose this bill.
I support people's rights to have their own opinion. What gets at me is that these people, most of them are sitting on the internet and complaining about it versus organizing and doing something about it.
Okay.
Right, and I'd love to see people organize and do something about it.
And the other thing Phil needs to, is trying to say, I think, is it's a done deal. It's not like they're gonna say, oh, now we're going to oppose the bill. I don't think MOC is going to do that. So these people can bitch and moan and do whatever they want.
No,
they have
but
to go with their conscience.
Boy, they have put a lot of weight behind supporting this bill, from what I've seen. I mean,
no, I say
it was a full force.
Well,
We're supporting this anti-open carry bill as strongly as we can.
But I don't think they're going to change your mind.
That's my personality too.
I'm not going to
I don't
change
believe
their
in
mind.
doing
They're not
anything
going to change
half-assed.
mine.
And so
Either you sit up and sit on the sideline and be neutral, or you oppose it and you be very vocal and active, or you support it and be very vocal and active.
Well, I think neutral would have been a good stance on this one for Michigan open carry.
well, no, because we would have been slaughtered. We would have been slaughtered. For
But
not
you
doing
wouldn't
it.
have been supporting an anti-open carry bill.
I know, but we
I can't get around that. That doesn't make any sense.
I understand that.
I haven't heard one single good
It's
argument
not my fault the state
that even
regulates
comes close
concealed
to
carry.
making sense.
That may be true. That's up to you. The thing is that what you can do is you can go out and oppose it. You cannot renew your membership.
Right.
You can start another organization.
Let's not talk about renewing memberships.
You can go. You can go. Put your head in the sand. You can go in the corner and cry. You can do a lot of things, and you can express your opinion. But once you express your opinion, it's pretty much over. You've expressed your opinion. Yes,
and that's what I'm doing.
And
I'm going
also trying to
on a
slow-
very highly rated internet radio show and expressing my opinion.
with ones of viewers. We're in the ones now.
We're in the single digits.
No, it looks like it looks like we're in the double digits there. But
Nice.
but my point is, we've heard it. I mean, when you keep going on and on and on, and I will agree, and I'm going to say this as a member of MOC, that some of the leadership has not done a good job in reining in their emotion and just addressed the arguments. Phil.
Yeah, and maybe that's where I was going with what I mentioned.
And I think you realize that, right? I mean, you learn.
I'm not sure what's going on, but I'm having a hard time hearing again, John. So.
We don't have our producer in the studio.
Yeah, he's in there.
He's there. He's
Oh,
hiding.
I guess he's having a rough time with audio again.
Okay. Well,
There's nothing that I can do on this end. It's
Okay,
on the
all
phone.
right. So what we're saying is that maybe leadership could have handled the negative criticisms a little better. That's what I think people are upset about too, and that the leaders of the organization, especially the board members, could not be emotional and just address the things in a logical, professional manner. And I'm going to say I think you realize that and you learn from that, and you're going to get better. It's not an easy job being in an organization and leading. Somebody's got to lead, and when you make a decision, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And
But you know that going into it.
well, yeah, that's true.
On the other hand, I don't think it's realistic to assume that once the organization makes a decision, and you're right, that's the decision, they probably aren't
For that
going to
bill.
change it. You're not going to stop the criticism, and I think that's
No, you
healthy.
can't. Right.
You need to hear from your membership, which I understand didn't happen in this case very much.
Well, we did. We had some members.
Actually, let me just say real quick. We we made a decision on Thursday evening, and on Friday evening we had a meeting where we invited the membership. Basically, anybody, even people in OCDO that are members, could come in and listen to our rationale and why we did what we did. I think the vast majority of people that walked into that meeting, many of them were on the fence.
Right.
At that meeting, they walked away with an understanding, and many of them actually agreed with what we did.
Well, unfortunately,
The vast majority.
I was working Friday night. I didn't get a chance to join in, but that was a day after the decision was made, I guess is my point. And I don't think anything that would have come out of that meeting would have changed Michigan Open Carry's mind on the matter.
Well, you don't know. It could have. I mean, that was an opportunity.
And just to address something that has been said on a few different occasions, we're a republic organization. We're not we don't have a democracy
Right.
on every issue, and it would be impossible. Let's say that on Thursday night we had a giant meeting that was open to any member. People wouldn't have been able to show up, and then they would have potentially bellyached about it afterwards.
Right.
It's impossible. It's impossible to have legislation moves fast, very fast, and I wasn't able to talk to anybody about it until Thursday night. I knew about it on Tuesday. I couldn't talk to anybody until Thursday.
Yeah,
Legislation moves pretty fast.
I understand that, and you're exactly right. It's not a democracy. I mean, the board is elected; they make the decisions. I understand that. I was talking specifically to the point that was made that you're not going to change MOC's decision, so why are you complaining about it, basically, is
No,
how I took it.
that's not what I was saying at all.
Okay.
I was saying, yes, complain about it, but don't do it over and over and over and over and over
Well,
and
the
over.
reason that
say the same thing over and over and over and over again. That doesn't really
Sure.
do anything
Sure.
very good. You make your statement, and then you...
Except I do feel strongly that the argument I have is the argument.
Yeah, it's the best argument ever.
Well, it is. It's an open carry organization that's supporting an anti-open carry bill. You can't get more straightforward than that.
You throw it out, and that was expressed. But you don't go on, and you don't have the leadership come back there and troll and bitch and moan and do stuff. And that was, I think, a mistake of MOC, and I think they realize that.
Yeah, and I'll say,
they'll learn from that.
I hope Michigan Open Carry doesn't lose any more members. I mean, I think in the grand scheme of things, they have done a very good job for firearm rights, open carry rights. But I mean, I don't think I'm not going to be quiet about this one. Obviously,
No,
I have a microphone, so
I'm going to continue my argument whether SB 59 passes or not, because I'm trying to see how many people in the organization still believe what me and Nate are trying to say and sway our leadership in the future on other bills, maybe to take a little more time, a little more consideration. That's all.
And I think
that's
good,
healthy.
and that's healthy.
And I locked my thread because it became
productive.
Right, it went to just talking about, different text colors and stuff. So I figured, okay, we're done discussing the bill. That's fine, but I'm still going to try to build a coalition.
And that's right, and that's what we want. We want people who...
And as a member, I can complain because I have that liberty.
And you have been involved, and those are the people that we want to be involved. And remember, we have elections of officers, and if you want to get in there...
And anybody who'd like to volunteer and be a part of the leadership team and actively volunteer, they should contact me, and I would welcome any member who wants to be more involved in the organization to get a hold of me, and we can discuss ways that we can make that happen.
Right.
All right. We just have a couple minutes here.
But
Phil,
when I put these calls for volunteers, I generally get the crickets answering.
Yeah, I know.
Well, yes, I'm not going to volunteer for leadership. Everyone that's doing their job right now is doing fine. I like staying back and
well, that's the other thing. That people like to stay back and bitch and moan. And
stay back.
They don't take any responsibility or.
I just don't have the time.
All right, we're almost out of time, Phil. So
this one last quote from King Henry. I forgot which one it was. It was a Shakespeare one, but it's uneasy lies ahead that wears the crown. And anybody who's in the leadership team, I really appreciate them, and I really appreciate them helping out and helping make this decision.
And so do I.
All right, thanks, Phil. Thanks a lot for calling in. We appreciate it.
Thanks.
Take it easy.
Have a good day.
We did have another caller. Do you want me to see if we can reach that caller and see who it is, or
we can try?
Okay,
sure. So as you can tell, even here, on our show, we have almost polar positions on this bill, and that happens with every legislation, like you said, and compromise is part of it. I think in this case, though, we had a very specific organization that was supporting a bill that was specifically
and I think everybody
against that organization.
And that was discussed at the leadership thing that there's going to be fallout.
And I have every confidence that it was. I have no reason not to believe that, and I believe that the decision wasn't made lightly, and I've heard rumblings that there was even some disagreement there.
It went to the person's voicemail. So
okay.
So we don't want to talk to their voicemail. Thanks, though. I've heard even in that membership meeting there was some disagreement, and the vote was unanimous for whatever reason. But I think that probably was handled the best it could, given the timeline that I've heard when Michigan Open Carry heard about the bill and when they voted to support it. Seems like now, looking back, they would have had much more time because this bill hasn't even went up for vote yet. Sounds like that's scheduled for next week, or will be scheduled for next week, or something like that.
Well, yeah, they held it up. It could have gone in this week, and the chairman is holding it up for unknown reasons, all kinds of excuses. He claims it should go on and be voted on next week, and it could go on the House floor as early as the end of next week, but we don't know. They're running out of time. If the session ends for the year before Christmas break, it's dead, and it has to start all.
Yeah, and I will tell you, I hope it doesn't pass.
Right, and there's a lot of other opposition to it. I mean, the colleges are opposed to it, churches, schools,
Yep.
there's a lot of
course.
So we'll see what happens. But
and the other thing to point out is even if it passes and you get an exemption and you're allowed to conceal carry in the pistol-free zones, they are still private property. They can still ban firearms.
Well, except there are some public ones and there's some authorities. Comerica Park is an example. That's an authority owned by the city of Detroit. They can't ban firearms.
Right.
And you'd be able to carry concealed in Comerica Park, whether they liked it or not.
So you're saying is you're for CC rights?
I'm for all gun rights, and I do support this bill.
Well, I support concealed carry rights. I do not support concealed carry licensing.
Right.
That's just ridiculous.
Right. I consider the second.
Philosophically, let's go back to the Second Amendment in all its entirety.
And Article 1, Section 6.
Guess what?
Yeah.
I live in the real world. You guys live in
But just think, if maybe more people disagreed about this bill, we would get a movement.
And that would be good. But let's do it. And you're not going to change it overnight.
No,
you don't have a magic wand. It takes time.
Well, hey,
it took a long time to get in this shithole. It's going to take us time to get out of
it. The libertarian argument's coming true, and Barack Obama was reelected, so
it'll be perfect.
In 4 years, we'll have a strong libertarian elected.
Absolutely.
Because
we'll have more freedoms.
I've heard. Yeah. And
anyways, before we get kicked off here, I just say, are we going to do a next show on the 22nd of December? That's the weekend before Christmas.
Yeah.
I can do one. So
yeah. I'll be here. Next show, December 22nd, 1 p.m.
1 p.m.
Yeah, 1 p.m.
We want to thank Flint Talk Radio, thank our guests in the studio, thank our callers, and we wish everyone a good day. And do what you have to do on this bill. If you support it, support it. If you don't, fight against it. If you're neutral on it, be neutral on it.
Be neutral. That's politics.
Yeah. So until then, thanks a lot. Be armed.
Be safe.
And be informed. Bye-bye.